One of the bits of feedback I get is around, how we talk about healthy hustle, and people say, okay, what does working smarter, not harder actually mean? Like, I don't know anything other than to work hard. And I think that it's a really important for us to stop and help people to understand that there is a smarter way of doing it and then lead you all through what that is. Because there's this great quote by Lewis Carroll, which is all about any road will get you there if you don't know where you're going. And when I think of that quote, I think of this constant, chopping and changing and running off in different directions and following shiny bright lights and being busy and being consumed by the to-do list and all the things that you have to do in this state of hyper vigilation, like almost a panic state around, I have so much to do, I don't know where to go next. And I just over and over and over again, I have heard people say, I don't have time to step back and look at the bigger picture because I have too much to do in the detail. There's too much work. So people get sucked into that vortex of the whirlpool. You know, this is me at stages as well. Like, I'm not saying that we are immune to it, but this is how you know that something has to happen. Because otherwise, the alternative is this point of frustration. And this is something I've heard our clients or, people in our network say, just what's the point of it all? Why am I busting my gut? Like, really? Why am I here doing this? I might as well just pack it up and go do something different. So I think, if we come back and remember how we talked about the three ingredients for healthy hustle, included the beliefs, it includes your energy, and it includes direction. And so what I'd love to focus on today is this piece around direction, because I think it's so, so important to define in every circumstance that you're in, work or life or whatever, where is it that you're heading? So the whole idea of going on a holiday and not knowing where you're going, for some people that could be really exciting. But usually we have a destination in mind. Usually we don't get in a car and just drive. We know where we're going. We put something into the GPS. So, what do you think, Nick, when it comes to your observations? Because I know you did some research for the book and the TEDx talk. So, what sorts of things come up for you when you hear about this lack of direction or lack of focus around what's happening and instead being sucked into this hustle culture, this busy, busy, busy trap?
I think the first thing we have to own, realize, accept is that we can't do everything.
Yeah.
We can't do everything, even if we want to. We can do a lot. We can, but it's kind of like this whole I had a psychology session recently, and something I found really profound, and maybe it's helpful, is that this whole realization of when we're stacking things on top of each other, tasks and things that we're doing, and it's on top of it's like a visual in front of me, and I'm holding it, and it's getting higher and higher and higher, and it's blocking my view, and I can't, like, it's real, and I'm trying to do it all at once, versus, okay, what's that block, and put it on the path in front of me. Take a block, another block, throw it after the other block on the path. I hope this analogy, this
Yeah,
visual
yeah.
is making sense,
So
because
creating
then
a path in
so
front of you.
creating the path and taking a step to achieve, as opposed to stacking it, because we can't do everything all at once. And, I think about, and you're right, with some of the research for the TEDx talk and the book around, we think, majority of most of us think we're masterful multitaskers. No, I can stack it. I
That
can
would be
do it all.
me.
I mean, like, we just wrote a book on healthy hustle, and this is a key thing, and I'm still talking about it with my psychologist like a week ago, and you're putting your hand up, right? Like, it's this whole thing around, we think we can do it all. We think we're these master multitaskers, but multitasking is actually a scientific myth, and only 2% of human brains can effectively multitask. Now, I know there'll be some people that are listening to this saying, yep, I'm one of the 2%. I'm one of the 2%.
Yeah.
But,
Or I'd
well,
like to
maybe you
think we
are.
are.
We think we are. Everyone might think we are, exactly. But what we're actually doing is we're task switching at a really rapid pace.
Mhm.
Now, when we're task switching, so we're switching from one task to another, and we think we're multitasking, it actually drains our energy. And what's really interesting is that it's proven to decrease productivity and it's proven to decrease our capacity for strategic thinking, for organizational skills, and planning.
Wow.
Huh. Let's just let that sit for a
Interesting.
moment. So here we
Mm,
are, these are high achievers,
mm.
these busy people, we're stacking, we're getting everything done, we're juggling in all the different areas of our life, thinking we're multitasking, because the amount of people that I've had this convo and they're like, no, I can definitely multitask, but we're switching, we're draining our energy, we're draining our productivity, and we're minimizing, reducing our capacity for strategic thinking, planning, and organizing. Like we need those things in business.
Which is no wonder why people go, I just don't have time to come out of the business and look and, look over the business and work. What was it, that whole saying around working on instead of in?
Yeah.
Because that feels like a luxury that is just not affordable to a lot of people.
Exactly. And I think the key thing here, then, knowing this, is that we have to get really good at knowing what we must say no to.
Mm.
And a big realization that I've had, particularly over the last couple of years, but I've been able to verbalize it, I think, better, is that sometimes we have to say no, even to things we want to say yes to.
Mm.
And this is why having direction is so important, to be able to prioritize what we need to say yes to and no to in business, in work, in life, in personal, in relationships, in fun things. Because if we don't, we're going to end up in unhealthy hustle. But when we can get better at knowing what to say, there's that whole saying, when we say yes, think about what we're saying no to, because by
Yeah.
default, but the problem is a lot of people go, no, I'll just try and fit it all in.
So true. And as you're saying that, I guess what came up for me too is recently talking with a client around making a big decision about whether to take a particular job or not. And it was around, the direction needed to be considered around what was most important. What are her values? What matters the most? So before you can answer a question around, I'll take this job or that job, or I'll say yes or no to this particular opportunity, we've got to check back in with ourselves even and say, does it align to the direction I want my life to go in, to who I see myself as, to my identity, the values that are important to me? And so what we're saying is this isn't just about business. It's not just about being able to step back, stop multitasking and look at a direction in a business. It's also the importance of looking for marrying that up with our personal direction. And again,
Yeah.
sometimes we get so sucked into the busy trap in our lives that we're jumping from work to dropping kids off at sport to, going out for dinner with friends to, just so much on that there's no opportunity for us to stop and reflect and go, what does really matter the most?
Totally. And I think, again, that balance of the work or business and personal is so important. And I think we also have to be okay with, sometimes it feels like we're going to let people down. We might not actually be, but we might feel like we are.
Yeah.
And we've got to look at all areas of our life and think, what's the return on investment of time, of energy, of everything. And it could be you just have to put some things on pause. But I think another problem is that people tend to go, yeah, okay, I've got to say no to some things. I'll say no to the things that affect me
Yes.
personally. So I'll say no to the social catch-ups with friend. I'll say no to the me time. I'll say no to the sleep. I'll say no to the things that actually fuel my energy. And this
Yeah.
is why that, the three essential ingredients of healthy hustle being direction, energy, and beliefs, or whichever way we look at it, they're all interconnected, right? So maybe we have to say no to one of the kids' somethings. I don't know. I'm just going to put it out
Mm.
there, right? Maybe the kids don't get everything they want. Maybe we have to ask for some support and help. Maybe we have to say no to a really exciting project, but it's just not the right time right now, because it could be a passion project, but we've got other things happening. I think that's important. We tend to naturally sacrifice the things that will benefit us and make us a better, happier, healthier human being for other people. Like holidays, that's a big one.
Yeah. And I think that happens because we haven't stopped to reflect on what matters the most. So it's a no-brainer in business, and it's what we're suggesting in relation to being able to get out of this. Like, how do you work smarter rather than harder? You can apply this. How do you stop being busy and actually living your life? It all comes down to the ability to do the planning, which, as you pointed out earlier, if we're multitasking all the time, no wonder our brains don't feel like they have the capacity to be able to even have that strategic view of what's happening in my business, in my life, the whole thing. So we say yes and no to things without really seeing whether they align with what we want for ourselves and what we want for our business or our career or whatever it is.
Mm,
And that's why I think so many of us then put others in front of ourselves, because we think that by people pleasing, that will make us happy
mm,
or some equivalent of that. So there's just so many different scenarios I see this filters across. But if we were to bring it into a business setting, and we talk about this in relation to, we call it our true north, finding your true north. And this is something that was very, very early on in business together and has stuck with ever since, because it's so fundamental as a foundation of the work that we do with our clients and what we talk about. So, Nikki, do you want to talk through what that defining your true north looks like and how that might differ from perhaps where other people believe their vision or planning needs to be?
mm. I think the essential component here is that you get clear on what your personal vision is as well as the business vision. So it's knowing both of those things. That is your anchor point. That is your true north that you're striving towards. So by personal vision, what I mean is it doesn't have to be fancy words, just something that means something for you. So for me personally, my personal vision for the last decade has been to create a certain lifestyle for my family and I to enjoy, and to make an impact through the work I do and give back to the voices that need to be heard. That doesn't need to mean anything to you, Ness, to anyone
Mm,
that's listening. Because when I hear that, when I say that to myself, I'm like, oh, that matters. I want to do work that matters. I want to give back to organizations and charities. And I want to just have an amazing lifestyle with Jules and my family and, that kind of thing. So it's very meaningful to me. It doesn't have to be
yeah.
fancy. A simple sentence or two. Because the thing is, when you're clear on that, it gives you your why you keep going. When we talk about hustle and healthy hustle, we're under no illusion that we still have to get up and do the work. We still have to push
Mm,
through sometimes. It's just about having boundaries and clarity of expectations around that. So on the days when we feel like we're a bit tired or whatever it might be, it's like, hang on a second, why am I doing this? So another way to look at your personal vision is your why. What's your personal
yep.
why? But the missing piece is often, some people don't do that, but it's linking that to your business vision.
Or
So if you're
career vision.
or a career vision. So if you're a
Yeah.
business owner, you've got to get clear on what the business vision is, and that needs to be a vehicle for you to be able to achieve your personal
Yeah.
vision. If you have a career, there might be a business vision already in place, and I encourage you to look at that and think, what does this mean to me? Does this
Mm.
mean something to me? Is this a purpose or a mission that I can get behind? And if not, maybe you create a version that sits in with that. So it's a little bit different if you're a business owner or a leader or you've got a career, but it's still an important thing to do because you rock up to work every day.
Yep.
So
Yep.
sometimes maybe your personal vision is enough, your personal why, but you rock up to work every day. If you can find a way that there is a connection that your work or business or career vision, i.e., why or purpose, if that can matter to you, and it doesn't have to be life changing, but
Mm,
if there's a way that that can matter to you, and that's a vehicle for you to be able to live your personal vision,
hmm.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's what matters the most, because then what happens from there is we strongly advise our clients, and we do this ourselves, is to include that in your plan when it comes to prioritizing your business goals. So we talk about, having a business goal around smart growth, and having a business goal around peak performance, having a business goal around, managing money. But also just as equally important is, what is your KPIs or your business or your goals around the prioritized life component. Because in a week, when you're looking at your schedule or when you're planning for the next quarter coming up or you're doing your year-long plan, it's just as important to put something in that category that keeps it top of mind. And what comes to my mind as I say that is one of our clients, James, who is so proud of saying at the beginning of each quarter, he has scheduled, in fact, I think he did a whole 12 months worth of date nights with his wife
Yeah.
that went into the calendar before any work went into the calendar because that was what was important to him in that period of time in prioritized life. So we can see that if we are connecting the vision and we're understanding the purpose behind it, and we've stepped back to actually consider that. So we stop multitasking, we stop working, we find ourselves, even if we have to take ourselves into a completely different environment to be able to do this, or for those who perhaps need guidance and assistance to find somebody to help support that. It is really strongly about going, well, this is what I want to achieve in this area in business in here. And then we start to make sure it is replicated and remembered and not just looked at once a year at the end of financial year or end of calendar year, go, oh, that's right. I said I was going to do that. Ooh, oops.
Mm.
So having that consistency, a cadence around how often are you revisiting it to prioritize it to make sure that you achieve those goals. What would you add to
Because,
that, Nikki?
well, I would add that James, his personal vision talks about his family. So it's no surprise that his one of the things that he did in his day-to-day planning is schedule date wives,
Date wives.
date nights with his
I
wife.
don't think his wife would be happy about
Very
him dating
different.
other
If
wives.
you very different thing. Date nights with his wife, because it's the babushka doll, kind of
Yeah,
analogy that I'll get you to take us through, but also it's connected, right? So because that mention is in the vision, it allows it to filter down to be a day-to-day reminder. And I think I just want to throw in here, if there are any master multitaskers, inverted commas, out there, we'll get to an actionable action, but this I think is a bonus one because I really want everyone, myself included,
hmm
to stop thinking multitasking. So if we catch ourselves going, oh my God, I'm doing multitasking. No, no, I'm task switching. I think that's a narrative we have to
Yeah, I like
change
that.
and call it what it is, because then it actually goes, oh, hang on, task switching. That sounds like more work.
Yeah,
And if you
absolutely.
just to digress a tiny little bit, surprise, monotasking is the antidote. So it's actually having scheduled time to focus on one task, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, and then move to the other. So there's a name for that, monotasking,
hmm
and it's proven that we're more effective, right? So again, this links because we'll be able to be more strategic with our time, our vision, all the little, breaking it down to a big vision, to the day-to-day things that we do. It's all connected, and how
Absolutely.
we view it and what we call it as well is really
Mm,
connected.
absolutely. And I think that, we refer to babushka dolls. If anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's a doll within the doll within the doll. And what we talk about in relation to planning, and especially in a business, is to say, well, what's the overarching 12-month goal? And looking at that big picture, it could be 12 months, 6 months, particularly the vision. And the vision has to be something that you see on a regular basis as you're doing your planning. So let's have a look at that. Put a plan on a page, what really matters for us in this period of time. And then we can work it out by month. And then we can work it out week by week. And then, on a daily basis, you are still doing something towards that overall goal or vision. And I think, the key importance to work smarter and not harder is to actually have a structure or system that allows you to choose priorities around what matters most in business and in life.
I think it would be remiss of us not to say that we also talk through this process in the book. So if
Yep.
you are wanting some steps to step-by-step guidance and more information about it, make sure you grab a copy of our book, Healthy
Yes.
Hustle. Um,
Fabulous.
I mean, you can
So
do it on your own, but there's just a really easy process there if you're like, hang on, where do I even start?
yeah. And obviously, there's links in our show notes to that. But before we wrap up today, Nikki, you alluded to a love, the actionable action for multitaskers out there. But let's bring this back to, perhaps this defining. So we talked about direction in order to be able to have one of the key ingredients to healthy hustle. So what's something somebody could do in the next 24 hours that's going to help them with that? other than stopping multitasking.
Yeah. Face the truth of task switching. Uh, Ask yourself, do I have a vision? Am I clear on my personal and my business or work vision?
Yeah,
Just ask that question right now. And if you're not, you want to kind of look at that, because again, this is what's going to help you move towards that healthy hustle, keep you motivated, keep that momentum, and kind of give you more joy in what you do.
absolutely. And that is, isn't that the whole point of why we do what we do? So if you need help, reach out. You can catch us over on LinkedIn. Obviously, pick up a copy of the book. And for now, have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.